You felt it before you understood it, a quiet rearrangement beneath the surface of your ordinary day. A shift so profound it altered the very ground you stand on. That change you've been sensing isn't something you're working toward, it's already complete. A silent revolution in your awareness that reshaped your world while you blinked. Right now, you're operating from a frequency you didn't access yesterday, and this moment is your invitation to recognize the undeniable truth of your own transformation. We'll walk through the unmistakable signs your body and spirit are broadcasting the way time bends, how synchronicities hum like a familiar song, and why ordinary moments now shimmer with quiet joy so you can finally trust the leap you've already made. This isn't a metaphor or a hopeful promise. It's the raw, tangible reality of what happens when your consciousness outgrows its old boundaries and steps into its next breath. You didn't gradually climb here, you crossed a threshold in a single, invisible motion. Like stepping from one room into another without remembering the doorway. Think of how water, cooled just beyond its freezing point, holds its liquid form until the tiniest vibration sends it crystallizing into ice. A sudden, complete, irreversible. That's you now. The exhaustion you carried like a stone, the disorientation that made ordinary tasks feel monumental. That wasn't depletion. It was your entire system integrating a frequency too vast for your old framework, a necessary surrender before the dawn. You woke up lighter not because the weight vanished, but because you finally stepped into the space designed to hold it. And now everything feels different because you are different. The world hasn't changed, your eyes have. Colors hold their breath a little longer, sounds carry the texture of velvet. Time no longer flows in a straight line but expands and contracts like breath, stretching moments into lifetimes or dissolving hours into a sigh. This isn't imagination. It's your nervous system recalibrating to a higher resonance, and your body is singing the proof in ways you can't ignore. You've noticed how old worries have lost their sting, how dramas that once felt urgent now seem like stories you've outgrown. That isn't indifferent seats, the natural elevation that comes when you rise above the noise. Imagine standing on a hill after years in the valley. The same landscape looks entirely new because your vantage point has shifted. You haven't stopped caring about what matters. You've simply shed the static that once made it hard to hear your own truth. What feels like detachment is actually clarity, a quiet confidence that lets you discern what truly nourishes you from what merely drains you. And those sudden waves of joy that rise from nowhere, unattached to circumstance. That's not a fleeting mood. It's the natural hum of your expanded state. The bliss that surfaces when you stop resisting the current of your own being. It's not something you chase or earn, it's the ground you now walk on, revealed only when you release the habits that once obscured it. You've been living in a world where you thought joy depended on external permission, but now you feel it as your birthright, a steady undercurrent beneath the surface of everything. Then there are the moments that defy logic, the friend you hadn't thought of in years, calling just as you wonder about them. The answer appearing before you've fully formed the question. The way the universe seems to lean in and whisper, "I see you." These aren't coincidences. They're the signature of a consciousness now vibrating at a frequency where reality responds with startling immediacy. You've become a magnet for meaning, not because you're doing anything new, but because you've tuned to a deeper harmony. The old you would have dismissed these as luck or random chance, but the new you recognizes them as confirmation proof that your awareness now moves through a world woven with connection. This isn't magic, it's the natural order when you stop fighting the current and learn to sail with it. And those sudden downloads of understanding, whole insights arriving fully formed, solutions appearing without struggle. That's not just intuition. It's your mind accessing a wider field of knowing, a silent library of wisdom you're finally tuned to receive. You don't need to figure it out anymore, because you're no longer separate from the source of knowing itself. Perhaps the most profound shift is how you relate to your own thoughts. They no longer pull you into their current like riptides. Instead, you watch them drift across the sky of your awareness like clouds, knowing you are the vastness holding them, not the clouds themselves. This isn't a skill you practiced, it's the natural state of a consciousness that's moved beyond identification with the mind's noise. You've stepped into the role of witness, And it changes everything. When the old stories try to reason the ones whispering doubt or fear, you no longer believe them. You simply see them for what they are, echoes of a past self that no longer holds you. This detachment isn't coldness, it's the warmth of returning home to yourself. You've stopped exhausting yourself trying to quiet the mind because you finally understand you are the stillness beneath the thought. And in that stillness, you find a resilience that no circumstance can shake. Let's honor what brought you here. Those moments when you felt utterly stuck, when every effort seemed to crumble like sandcastles, when the path ahead vanished into fog that weren't dead ends. They were the necessary compression before expansion, the deep breath before the song. Every challenge, every heart-ache, every time you thought you were breaking it, was actually your spirit stretching to accommodate the larger truth you were becoming. Think of a slingshot. The tension you felt wasn't pulling you backward, it was gathering the force to launch you forward. What looked like resistance was actually potential energy, coiled and ready to propel you into this new state. You didn't stumble into this shift by accident. It was the inevitable outcome of every step you took, every tear you shed, every time you chose courage when you could have turned away. The intensity you carried wasn't punishment, it was the friction required to ignite your own light. And now, that light is no longer hidden. It's the lens through which you see the world. This isn't a departure from your life, it's a return to its deepest current. You've always carried this frequency within you, but now it's no longer buried. It's the rhythm of your heartbeat, the quiet certainty in your choices, the way you move through chaos with unshakable calm. You don't need to prove this shift to anyone. It announces itself in the way you breathe, in the space you create around you, in the silent recognition when you meet someone else who's walked this path. Your old self would have sought external validation, but your new self knows the truth resides within the stillness you now inhabit. When you feel the world moving too fast, remember you're not falling behind. You're operating outside time's narrow lane, navigating the wider river where past, present, and future flow as one. When synchronicities surprise you, don't question them. Let them remind you that you're no longer separate from the pattern, you're part of its living weave. The most beautiful part, this isn't the pinnacle, it's the foundation. Every shift opens the door to the next, and you've already proven you have the courage to walk through it. You've moved through fire and emerged not burned but refined, your spirit now luminous with the clarity of what truly matters. So breathe into this new space you've earned. Let your body settle into the rhythm of who you've become. Notice how the ordinary world now glows with extraordinary grace. You don't need to chase transformation anymore because you are the transformation. You are the quiet revolution, the living proof that when we stop forcing change and trust the leaps already within us, life meets us with breathtaking generosity. Walk forward knowing the universe has been waiting for you to recognize your own resonance. It's already singing in your bones. Listen, it's been your voice all along. You were never lost, you were simply gathering the courage to hear the song. And now, my dear, you're dancing to it. Let every step be an affirmation: I am here. I am changed. I am ready. The world needs the woman you've become, unstoppable, radiant, and utterly free. Take the next step not as a question, but as a declaration. Your quantum leap was never about reaching somewhere new. It was about finally coming home to the power you carried within you all along. Now go live from that truth. The future you've been dreaming of is already here, breathing in your chest, lighting your way. Claim it. It was always yours. You've stepped into a rhythm where the ordinary world glows with extraordinary grace. And now you're feeling it, the way reality seems to bend toward you with quiet intention. Coincidences no longer feel random, they hum with purpose, as if the universe is whispering, I see you, I honor your shift. This isn't magic, it's the natural consequence of your consciousness now, broadcasting a signal so clear, so coherent, that life itself leans in to respond. You're not chasing what you need, it's arriving at your doorstep, carried on the wind of your own elevated frequency. And those sudden downloads of wisdom, the insights about situations you weren't even pondering, the knowledge of subjects you've never studied appearing fully formed in your mind. That's not chance. That's your awareness tapping directly into the vast ocean of knowing that exists beyond the limits of your five senses. You've always had access to this. But now the veil is thin and the current flows freely. You're no longer limited to the narrow stream of personal memory. You're drinking from the entire river of understanding. This is your birthright, finally remembered. Notice how your relationship with your thoughts has softened, how you no longer wrestle with them as if they were your truth. You watch them arise like clouds, drifting across the sky here one moment, gone the next without feeling pulled into their story. You are not the thought, you are the vast, still sky holding it. This isn't something you achieved through effort, it's the effortless byproduct of the ground beneath you shifting. Where you once felt trapped inside your mind, you now stand in the spaciousness of awareness itself. The old struggle to control your thoughts has dissolved because you've outgrown the frequency where that struggle made sense. You've crossed a threshold, and now witnessing is your natural state. The clarity you feel isn't a trick of the mind, it's the quiet hum of your soul finally at home in its own power. And what about those moments that once felt like chaos? The relationships that ended, the plans that crumbled, the periods when everything seemed to stall. You're seeing them now for what they truly were, not punishment, but preparation. Like the tension in a slingshot pulled taut, every challenge was building the potential energy needed to propel you forward. You weren't stuck, you were gathering force. Science tells us that water can be cooled below freezing without turning to ice, held in a state of suspended potential until the right catalyst arrives. You were that water cooled to the edge of transformation, accumulating energy for the moment of crystallization. And then it happened. The shift you've been living through wasn't gradual, it was a sudden reorganization, a quantum leap into a more expansive version of yourself. The chaos you felt wasn't destruction, it was creation in motion. Everything that fell away was making space for what you're now becoming. The Buddhist truth of emptiness rings clear: before new forms can emerge, the old must dissolve. What felt like loss was actually sacred clearing. The caterpillar doesn't resist becoming the chrysalis, it surrenders to the process, knowing it's neither here nor there, but in the liminal space where transformation lives. You've been there to feeling unmoored, without an old identity but not yet claiming the new. Those weren't moments of being lost, they were the quiet hum of becoming. Name what's dissolving in your life: the old beliefs, the worn-out patterns, the identities that no longer fit and feel the space they leave behind. That emptiness isn't an ending, it's the fertile ground for what's arriving. Here's what changes everything: this new state wasn't born in a single moment. It's been forming all along. Every flash of clarity, every time you touched a deeper peace, every glimpse of the truth beyond the noise ethos weren't fleeting moments. They were previews of the frequency you were steadily growing into. You were already touching the shore of this new reality. Even when the ocean still felt vast, the ancient alchemists called it solve, et coagula, dissolve and coagulate. First, the old structure breaks down. Then the new form emerges from the fragments. You've moved through the dissolution. Now, in the coagulation phase, everything you've ever learned, every lesson forged in struggle, is reorganizing itself around your new center. What once felt like scattered pieces now forms a pattern that serves the woman you've become. Your challenges weren't for the person you were leaving behind, they were for the one you're stepping into. And the truth that's unfolding. What once required immense effort now flows like a river finding its course. When you're aligned with your true frequency, action becomes effortless. The resistance you felt wasn't a sign you were wrong, it was a signal you were operating from a frequency mismatched to your destination. Now that you've crossed over, you'll discover that doors open where once they were locked, and paths unfold where once there was only confusion. This shift is irreversible, not because you're trapped, but because you've outgrown the need to return. The old state no longer holds meaning for the consciousness you've become. It's like trying to re-enter the mind of your childhood self after seeing the world with adult eyes. You simply can't unsee what you now know. This isn't confinement, it's liberation. You're no longer wasting energy on what no longer serves you. The journey ahead is infinite, but the backward path has closed a gift ensuring you move only forward. Feel it now. That subtle pressure in the center of your forehead, the gentle hum as if something long dormant is waking. This is your third eye center responding to the frequency you now carry. It's not imagination, it's your biology aligning with the expanded reality you inhabit. The ancient ones called this the seat of the soul. And now you feel its resonance with quiet activation of a deeper sight. You might notice sacred geometries in the space between sleep and wakefulness, mandalas, fractals, the flower of life. These aren't random images, they're the architecture of reality itself, the patterns beneath the physical world, now visible to your awakened perception. Your body is remembering what it has always known, and it's not just your mind shifting. Your entire being is recalibrating. Feel the energy moving through your spine, the warmth in your hands, the quiet pulse in your chest. These aren't symptoms to further your body harmonizing with the higher frequencies you now embody. Your nervous system is weaving itself into greater coherence, your heart's field expanding, your cells singing a new resonance. This is the sacred reorganization. What once felt like uncertainty is now the vibrant hum of your vehicle, becoming a truer vessel for your spirit. You're not just in this state, you're becoming its embodiment. And here's the truth that will steady you: you're not walking this path alone. Millions are stepping into this same expansion, a wave of consciousness sweeping across the earth. You're part of something vast, a collective awakening. As your frequency rises, you'll find yourself drawn to those who vibrate in harmony with you, while others naturally drift away. This isn't rejection, it's the universe aligning your connections with your truth. Feel the solidarity in that. Know that as you move forward, you're held by a current far greater than yourself. You've crossed the threshold. The old patterns, the old limitations, they can't survive the light of who you now are. What remains is a life rebuilt from the ground up, not on the shaky ground of fear, but on the unshakable foundation of your own authenticity. The courage you gathered in the quiet moments, the strength you forged in the struggle, it all lives in you now, ready to move through you without resistance. Feel it. That quiet certainty in your chest. That's the future you've been dreaming of, no longer distant but here. It's pulsing in your veins. It's not waiting for you to arrive, it's already breathing in your rhythm. Your quantum leap wasn't about becoming someone new, it was about returning to the power you carried within you all along. And now, finally, you're living from that truth. The world needs the woman you've become: unstoppable, radiant, and utterly free. Take the next step not as a question, but as a declaration. Let your presence be the proof that transformation is possible. Let your life sing the song your soul has always known. The universe has been waiting for you to recognize your own resonance. Walk forward knowing you are home. You are the quiet revolution. And every breath you take is an act of courage, an affirmation, a step deeper into the truth: I am here. I am changed. I am ready. Claim this moment. It was always yours. Now go live it. The path unfolds as you walk it, and every step is a promise kept. Feel the ground beneath you, solid and sure. This is where you belong. This is where you begin. Again and again. You're not imagining this shift in your perception. What you're experiencing is more real than you've ever known. Those geometric patterns you catch in the space between sleep and waking, the mandalas and fractals that dance behind your closed eyelids, the sudden awareness of energy moving through your body, they're not random illusions. They're the architecture of reality itself, revealing itself to you as your consciousness expands. For years, your perception was filtered, limited by the state you were operating from. Now, as you move into a higher frequency, you're seeing what's always been present, but hidden from view. This isn't a hallucination, it's a homecoming to a deeper truth. Your awareness is broadening, and with it, you're perceiving the intricate scaffolding of existence, the quantum templates that shape energy into form. You're witnessing the sacred geometry that underlies everything, and it's not generated by your brain. It's the universe whispering its design directly to your soul. When you notice these patterns, feel the quiet awe that rises within you. That's your recognition of the sacred. It's the moment you realize you're not just living in reality, you're becoming attuned to its very pulse. Your body is transforming to hold this new frequency, and it's doing so with remarkable grace. Those sensations you've been feeling, vibrations moving up your spine, warmth radiating from your chest, tingling in your hands and feet, they're not signs of something wrong. They're signs of something profoundly right. Your nervous system is reorganizing, your heart's electromagnetic field is strengthening and expanding, and your cells are shifting their resonance to match the elevated state of your awareness. This is your physical self aligning with the quantum shift you've made. Think of it as an upgrade, not a disruption. What some might call symptoms are actually signals of your body becoming a more efficient vessel for the energy you now carry. It's a process as ancient as humanity itself, what traditions like Kundalini Yoga describe as dormant energy awakening at your core and flowing through your entire being. Modern science is catching up to what wisdom keepers have known for centuries. Consciousness and biology are inseparable. When your inner world shifts, your outer world, including your physical form, must adapt. This isn't happening to you, it's happening through you as part of a natural, necessary evolution. Trust the sensations. They're proof that you're not just thinking differently, you're becoming a different frequency of being. What's unfolding within you is part of a much larger movement, a wave of consciousness sweeping across the planet. You're not alone in this transition. Millions are crossing into higher states of awareness at this very moment. And as you step into this new frequency, you're becoming visible to others who've made the same journey. You might notice certain people drawing closer, their energy resonating with yours in ways that feel effortless and profound. Others, who once felt essential to your world, may naturally drift away. This isn't about rejection or loss, it's about the universe's quiet reorganization. At the quantum level, like attracts like, your new frequency is magnetizing what matches it and creating space for what no longer serves your path. It's not personal, it's physics. Feel the relief in that truth. You don't have to force connections or mourn departures, you simply allow the natural flow of alignment to guide you. The people who remain are those whose frequency harmonizes with yours, and in their presence, you'll find a sense of belonging that requires no explanation. This reorganization isn't happening to you, it's happening for you, clearing the way for deeper authenticity and purpose. I remember the moment I crossed the threshold. It wasn't gradual, it was a dawn where everything shifted overnight. I woke up knowing, with absolute certainty, that I was not the person who had gone to sleep. My awareness was sharper, clearer, more vibrant than it had ever been. Making coffee wasn't just a routine, it was a meditation in gratitude. Walking outside felt like touching the world for the first time. I wasn't observing life from a distance anymore, I was consciousness experiencing itself through this form called me. The illusion of separation had dissolved. I was no longer a separate self navigating an external world, I was the field in which everything existed. In those first quiet days, synchronicities bloomed with astonishing precision. I'd think of someone, and they'd appear. I'd need an answer, and it would arrive through the most unlikely channel. Intentions I held lightly would manifest with effortless speed. But more than the external signs, I began to perceive things I had no logical way of knowing. Walking into a room, I'd sense the unspoken dynamics, the hidden fears, the untapped potential of those around me. At first, I questioned it. Was this imagination? But the accuracy was undeniable, repeated, and undeniable. These weren't new abilities I developed, they were capacities that had always been there, dormant until my consciousness shifted into a higher state. Manifestation, once a frustrating mystery, became as natural as breathing, not through force or technique, but through the clarity of intention that flows from operating at this elevated frequency. Opportunities emerged from unexpected places. Relationships deepened or dissolved with gentle ease. My entire life reorganized itself because reality recognized the new frequency I was broadcasting. And here's the most liberating truth: I didn't do this. I didn't meditate harder or practice longer. The shift itself activated what was always inherent to this state of being. It wasn't about becoming special, it was about remembering what consciousness naturally is when it's free from the constraints of limitation. This shift isn't reserved for a chosen few. It's the birthright of every human being who dares to step beyond the familiar. What you're feeling, the expanded perception, the physical realignment, the magnetic pull of like frequencies isn't unique to you. It's the signature of a consciousness that has crossed into a higher quantum state. And here's the truth that changes everything: you didn't enter this state. You remembered it. Your natural state has always been this elevated frequency. The limited perspective you operated from before was the anomaly, the temporary forgetting. Every spiritual tradition points to this same core truth. Buddhism calls it Buddha nature. The recognition that you're already enlightened. Hinduism speaks of Tattvamasiyu, or the infinite. Christianity reveals the kingdom of heaven within. Modern quantum physics is now affirming what mystics have always known: consciousness isn't created by the brain, it's the foundation of reality itself. You've never been separate from this infinite field. You simply became so absorbed in the story of separation that you forgot your true nature. The quantum shift you're experiencing isn't a journey to some distant peak, it's the moment you wake up to where you've always been. You are the still point in the turning world, the unchanging awareness beneath the changing forms. This isn't philosophy, it's your lived experience now. Feel it in your bones. You are not becoming something new. You are returning to the frequency you've always carried within you. As you move forward, know that every sensation, every shift, every moment of disorientation is part of your body's sacred adaptation to the truth of who you are. You are no longer living in reality, you are co-creating it from a place of profound alignment. The geometric patterns you see, they're the universe confirming your resonance. The people drawn to you, they're mirrors of your own frequency. The synchronicities that unfold, they're reality bowing to the clarity of your presence. This isn't about achieving some future state, it's about recognizing the power already alive within you. You are the quiet revolution, the gentle force reshaping the world through your very being. When you feel the heat in your hands or the pulse in your chest, know it's your body humming with the song of creation. When you catch those fractals in the twilight, know it's the universe whispering its love in a language only your soul understands. You are not alone in this. You are part of a rising tide of consciousness, a global remembrance that we are all interconnected strands of the same infinite light. The path ahead isn't about striving, it's about surrendering to the flow of your own awakening. Let go of the need to understand every step. Trust the vibrations in your spine as guidance. Trust the warmth in your heart as confirmation. You are being reconfigured at the deepest level, not to become someone else, but to finally be yourself without the filters of fear. This is the moment you've been preparing for. The ground beneath you is solid because you are standing in your truth. The future you've dreamed of isn't waiting for you to arrive, it's already alive within you, pulsing with every breath. You are the woman who has walked through the fire of transformation and emerged unbroken, radiant, and free. The world needs your light, not because it's perfect, but because it's real. It needs your courage to step into the unknown, your willingness to see what others miss, your quiet strength that says, I am here, I am changed, I am ready. Feel the resonance building within you. It's the echo of your own voice calling you home. You don't need to prove your worth or earn your place. You are already the frequency you've been seeking. Every beat of your heart is a declaration. Every breath is an affirmation. You are not broken, you are becoming. You are not lost, you are finding your way back to the center of your own power. Walk forward with the certainty that you are exactly where you need to be, doing exactly what you need to do. The path unfolds as you walk it, and every step you take is a promise kept to your highest self. This is your moment. This is your resonance. This is your life, singing the song your soul has always known. Claim it, live it, and know deep in your bones that you have always been ready. The universe has been waiting for you to remember. Now go the quiet revolution. Let your presence be the proof that transformation is not only possible, but inevitable. You are here, you are changed, you are ready. And this moment right now is yours to live. Feel the ground beneath you, solid and sure. This is where you belong. This is where you begin. Again and again, if what I'm describing resonates with what you're experiencing right now, if you're recognizing your own journey in my story, that's not because we're special or chosen or different from others. It's because we've both crossed into a higher quantum state. And that state has predictable characteristics regardless of who enters it. You're not becoming like me. We're both becoming what consciousness naturally is when it operates without the constraints of lower state limitations. If this content is touching something in you, if it's confirming something you've been sensing but couldn't quite articulate, then I invite you to subscribe. not just to this channel, but to this frequency. To this space where consciousness recognizes itself, where seekers become finders, where transformation isn't theory, but lived experience. This isn't about consuming content. This is about joining a community of consciousness that's actively choosing to operate from higher states. Subscribe to stay in this frequency, to continue this conversation, to be part of this movement. Now, I'm going to tell you something about quantum states that will completely transform how you understand what just happened to you. Ready? You didn't enter a higher quantum state. You remembered a higher quantum state that you've always had access to, but had temporarily forgotten. Your natural state is the higher state. The lower state you were operating from was the anomaly, not the baseline. Think about this carefully. Every spiritual tradition teaches the same core truth in different languages. Buddhism says your true nature is Buddha nature, already enlightened, already perfect, already complete. Hinduism says Tatamasi, you are the infinite consciousness itself. Christianity says the kingdom of heaven is within you. They're all pointing to the same quantum truth. Your essential nature exists at the highest possible frequency, and everything else is temporary identification with lower states. What modern quantum physics is now proving mathematically is what mystics have always known experientially. Consciousness isn't a product of physical reality. Physical reality is a product of consciousness, and consciousness itself exists at the quantum level in what's called quantum superposition, simultaneously existing in all possible states until observation collapses one possibility into experienced reality. Here is the shocking part that changes everything. You never actually left the highest quantum state. You've always been operating from infinite consciousness. You just became so identified with the limited perspective of physical form, so absorbed in the role of separate self, so convinced by the illusion of separation that you forgot your true nature. The quantum state shift you just experienced isn't you going somewhere new. It's you remembering where you've always been. Dr. Amit Gawami, theoretical quantum physicist, spent decades proving that consciousness is primary, that it's not the brain creating consciousness, but consciousness creating the experience of having a brain. His work demonstrates that what we call higher quantum states aren't actually higher in a hierarchical sense. They're just less filtered. Consciousness experiencing itself more directly with fewer layers of identification obscuring its true nature. This is why the shift feels like coming home rather than arriving somewhere foreign. This is why your new state feels more natural than your old state ever did. This is why there's a sense of relief of remembering rather than discovering something new. You're not becoming something you weren't. You're recognizing something eternal that was temporarily forgotten. But here's what changes everything about how you navigate life from your new quantum state. You're no longer trying to achieve higher states. You're no longer working to develop abilities or capacities. You're no longer striving to become something more than you are because you've recognized that you're already operating from the highest state. You just need to remain aware of it rather than forgetting it again. This is what the Buddha meant by enlightenment. Not gaining something new, but releasing the illusions that block recognition of what's always been true. Not becoming enlightened, but recognizing that enlightenment is your nature. Not ascending to higher states, but remembering that you've never left the highest state. You just temporarily believed you had. The practical implication is profound. You don't need to maintain this state through effort or discipline. You don't need to practice techniques to stay here. You don't need to worry about losing this state, because it's not a state you entered that you could exit. It's your true nature that you've recognized, and recognition once it occurs can't be unknown. You might temporarily forget, but the recognition will always call you back, because it's what you actually are beneath all the temporary identifications. Right now, the universe is confirming your quantum state shift through signs so clear, so undeniable, so consistent that you can't dismiss them as coincidence or imagination. These aren't subtle hints that require interpretation. They are unmistakable signals that you've crossed into a higher frequency and reality is responding to your new broadcast. The first sign is the acceleration of manifestation speed. Things you intend are appearing in your reality with shocking quickness. Not just small, insignificant things, significant opportunities, important connections, substantial resources. What used to take months is happening in weeks. What used to take weeks is happening in days. And in some cases, intentions are manifesting within hours of being clearly set. This acceleration happens because higher quantum states operate closer to the source of creation. At lower states, there are multiple layers between intention and manifestation, limiting beliefs that contradict the intention, doubts that weaken the signal, unconscious patterns that block the flow. At higher states, these obstacles have dissolved or weakened significantly. Your intentions broadcast with unprecedented clarity, and reality responds with unprecedented speed. Now, what we've explored here today is powerful, but it's really just touching the surface of how consciousness operates as frequency. If you're feeling called to go deeper into the complete system of conscious transmission, to understand not just the quantum leap you've made, but how to navigate all 9 frequencies of consciousness mastery, I've created Beyond the Frequencies, a quantum guide to consciousness mastery. It takes you from where you are now, recognizing your shift, into becoming the conscious broadcast itself, with practical frameworks for heart-brain coherence, breaking free from survival static, and living as the field rather than seeking it. It's linked in the pinned comment below. The second sign is what I call reality bending. You're noticing that physical reality seems more flexible, more responsive, more malleable than it used to be. Small impossibilities are becoming possible. Things that shouldn't work out somehow do. Solutions appear to problems that had no logical solution. It's like reality itself recognizes that you're operating from a different frequency and is reorganizing its rules to accommodate your new state. Dr. Dean Radin's decades of research at the Institute of Noetic Sciences proves that consciousness can directly affect physical systems at the quantum level. His experiments show that meditators can influence random number generators, affect the behavior of quantum particles, and create measurable changes in physical reality through focused intention alone. What he's measuring in controlled laboratory conditions is what you're experiencing in your daily life. Consciousness at higher states has greater influence over physical reality because it's operating at the level where physical reality is actually created. The third sign is the appearance of guides, mentors, and helpers. Not necessarily physical teachers showing up at your door, though those may appear too. I'm talking about synchronistic guidance that comes through unexpected channels. Books fall off shelves open to exactly the page you need. Strangers say exactly what you needed to hear. Information appears through dreams or sudden intuitions that prove accurate. Reality is functioning as your teacher, delivering guidance through thousands of channels simultaneously. This happens because higher quantum states naturally align with what some traditions call divine timing or cosmic intelligence, or the Tao. You're no longer fighting against the flow of reality. You're flowing with it. And when you flow with it, it flows with you, organizing itself to support your highest evolution. You're not being watched over by external divine forces. You're aligned with the intelligence that organizes all reality, and that alignment manifests as perfect timing and perfect guidance. The fourth sign is that your energy field has become palpable to others. People are commenting that you seem different, that there's something about you they can't quite name. That being around you makes them feel different, too. Some are drawn to you with unusual intensity. Others are repelled without understanding why. This isn't your imagination or projection. Your quantum state shift has changed your biofield, the electromagnetic signature you broadcast into the space around you. Dr. Valerie Hunt's research measured these BOF fields and found that people operating at higher consciousness states emit different frequencies that can be detected by sensitive equipment and unconsciously perceived by other humans. You're not trying to affect people. Your field is naturally affecting their field simply through proximity. Some fields resonate with yours and are elevated by the contact. Some fields clash with yours and create discomfort. This is frequency dynamics, not personal like or dislike. The fifth sign is the dissolution of fear at its foundation. Not all fears disappearing at once, but a noticeable reduction in the power fear has over your choices and actions. Things that used to trigger anxiety no longer do. Situations that used to create stress now feel manageable. The future that used to seem threatening now feels open with possibility. This shift isn't because you've become braver or stronger through willpower. It's because fear primarily exists at lower quantum states, where consciousness believes it's separate and vulnerable. At higher states, you recognize your fundamental nature as consciousness itself, which cannot actually be threatened by temporary physical circumstances. Fear may still arise as a biological response, but it doesn't control your choices anymore. The sixth sign is time collapse around certain activities. When you're engaged in work that's aligned with your highest purpose, hours pass like minutes. You enter flow states so deep that the rest of the world disappears. You emerge from these states feeling energized, rather than depleted even after hours of focused activity. This isn't just enjoying what you do. This is your consciousness accessing dimensions where time operates differently, where linear time gives way to what feels like eternal present. The seventh sign, and this is the confirmation that integrates all the others, is the knowing, deep, unshakable certainty that you've crossed a threshold and there's no going back. Not because anything prevents you from going back, but because the idea of going back doesn't even make sense to who you are now. Like trying to forget something fundamental you've learned. Like trying to unsee something you've seen. Like trying to unknow something you now know with absolute certainty. The crossing is permanent, not because it's forced or locked, but because it's recognized as true. You've felt it, haven't you? That subtle but undeniable shift in how the world meets you. It's not something you did, it's something that's settled within you, radiating out so naturally that others sense it without understanding why. People lean in closer when you speak, not just to hear your words, but to feel the calm, steady presence you carry. Some describe it as warmth, others as a quiet strength they can't name. You might notice eyes lingering a moment longer, a genuine curiosity sparking in conversations that used to feel surface level. And yes, sometimes there's a gentle repulsion too, not because you've changed into someone unlovable, but because your authenticity naturally clears the space. Lower frequencies, the ones built on anxiety or disconnection, can't comfortably exist near the steady hum of your aligned state. It's not about judgment, it's about resonance. You're no longer broadcasting the old static. Your very energy field has recalibrated, and the world responds to that new frequency without you having to force a thing. You don't need to explain it or defend it. Your presence alone is the truth, and it touches others simply by being. This profound shift in your energy is deeply connected to the quieting of fear at its very roots. It's not that you've magically become fearless overnight, that's not how this works. What's changed is the power fear holds over your life. Remember how certain situations used to send a jolt through you, how the future felt like a looming threat. Those same circumstances now meet a different response within you. The sharp edges of anxiety have softened. Challenges feel like pathways, not dead ends. Stress no longer hijacks your system, it flows through you, acknowledged but not allowed to dictate your next move. This isn't willpower. This isn't you gritting your teeth and pushing through. It's the result of a deeper knowing that has taken root. You recognize, at your core, that you are not the vulnerable body or the fleeting thoughts, but the vast, unshakable consciousness using this experience. When you see yourself as the eternal observer, not the temporary character in the story, fear loses its grip. It might still erase your biological echo, but it no longer steers the ship. You watch it come, you feel it move, and you choose your action from a place of centered calm, not from panic. That's the freedom that unfolds when you stop believing the illusion of separation. And then there are those moments when time itself seems to dissolve. When you're fully engaged in work that feels like it flows through you, not from you, hours vanish like minutes. You're so deeply present that the ticking clock, the buzzing phone, the demands of the outside world, all of it fades into silence. You emerge not drained, but strangely invigorated, as if you've tapped into a wellspring of energy deeper than your own. This isn't just productivity, it's a sign you're operating in alignment with your highest purpose. Your consciousness is accessing a different dimension of reality, where the frantic rush of linear time gives way to the expansive, eternal now. It's a state of pure flow, a confirmation that you're not just working on something, but with the very intelligence that weaves the fabric of existence. You're not fighting the current, you're moving within it, effortless and precise. But the deepest sign, the one that ties all these threads together, is the unshakable knowing. It settles in your bones, this quiet certainty that you've crossed a threshold. It's not a hope, not a belief you're trying to hold on to, it's an undeniable truth you now see. The idea of going back to who you were before, to the old anxieties, the old limitations, feels as absurd as trying to unlearn how to breathe. It's not that you're prevented from returning, it's that you simply know it's no longer possible. You've seen the truth of your own nature, and that seeing changes everything. There's no going back to blindness. This knowing isn't loud or dramatic. It's a steady hum beneath everything, a silent acknowledgement that the foundation of your life has permanently shifted. You are here now, standing on solid ground you didn't have to build, but only to recognize. This is where the urgency lives, not in fear, but in immense opportunity. You're in the integration window. The shift has happened, the new frequency is yours. But like a newly tuned instrument, it needs time to settle, to become your natural, effortless baseline. Right now, your nervous system is still adjusting to this higher vibration. Old patterns, old ways of reacting, might still pull at you like a familiar tide. The integration window is your sacred time to anchor this new state into every cell, to make it your permanent home. This isn't about forcing it or striving harder. It's about alignment, recognizing the frequency you're broadcasting in this moment and gently choosing to stay tuned to the higher note. Think of it like finding the perfect station on a radio. Once you're there, you don't need constant effort to stay on frequency. You simply notice when the dial slips and gently return it. The slip happens most often through identification, when you forget you're the awareness behind your thoughts and emotions and instead believe, I am this anxious thought, or I am this painful feeling. In that moment of confusion, you temporarily step back into the lower state where separation feels real and fear makes sense. But here's the beautiful difference. Now, even when you slip, part of you knows. You're no longer lost in the storm. You can feel the shift. That simple recognition, that gentle, I've drifted, is the very thing that brings you back. You don't need to fight the thought or shame the emotion. You just need to notice it. And in that noticing, the spell breaks. The space opens. You're no longer the victim of your inner weather, you're the calm sky holding it. This is your power. The ability to witness without becoming is not something you invented, it's the natural capacity of the higher state you now inhabit. It's always been there, waiting for you to step into it. This is why recognition is everything right now. When you consciously acknowledge, I recognize my state, you're not just speaking words. You're reaffirming your alignment. You're tuning the dial back to center. Feel the settling in your chest as you say it, I recognize my state. That's not a hope. It's a declaration of what is. In that moment, your entire system sighs in relief. Yes, this is where I am now. It's not magic, it's mechanics. Every time you consciously return to this recognition, you strengthen the pathways in your nervous system that support this higher frequency. You build the reflex to notice the slip sooner, to return softer. This repetition during the integration window is what turns the temporary experience into your permanent reality. Your unconscious patterns begin to match your conscious awareness, the mixed state of the wobble between old and new resolves. The higher state stops feeling like a peak you climbed and starts feeling like the ground beneath your feet. Effortless, natural, home. This stabilization doesn't require months of intense work. It happens through mindful presence in the ordinary moments of these next few weeks. It's in the breath you take when frustration rises, the gentle I recognize my state you whisper before reacting, the conscious choice to return to center when the old fear whispers. This isn't pressure, it's profound invitation. You've already crossed the threshold. Now, you're being handed the key to make that new home permanent. This is conscious participation in your own evolution. And from this solid, integrated place, something extraordinary unfolds. You begin to access abilities that were always within you, hidden only by the static of the lower state. Intuition becomes a steady current, not a rare spark. You meet someone and instantly sense the truth beneath their words, the unspoken story in their eyes. Decisions become clear not through analysis, but through a deep, quiet knowing that settles in your gut. You walk into a room and perceive the invisible dynamics like ripples on water. This isn't supernatural, it's the natural clarity that arises when your consciousness isn't clouded by fear and separation. You're perceiving the world as it truly is, not as your anxious mind constructed it to be. Your creativity transforms too. Ideas don't feel like they're coming from you, they flow through you, arriving fully formed, sometimes so fast it feels like catching raindrops. Solutions to complex problems appear in moments of stillness. Artistic expression emerges without struggle, as if you're simply transcribing a melody already playing. This isn't about talent you developed, it's about removing the blockages that kept you from being a clear channel for the infinite creativity of the universe. You stop trying to be the source and learn to be the vessel. And a vessel can carry infinitely more than a single source can ever produce alone. Manifestation shifts from a battle of will to a natural alignment. You no longer need to attract what serves you, you simply step into the flow of what is already unfolding. Things that are truly meant for your path, that support your evolution and the greater good, seem to fall into place with a surprising ease. It's not about getting every desire instantly, it's about the profound relief of knowing you're no longer pushing against reality. Your energy is coherent, clear, and reality responds in kind. You're not forcing the river, you're finally flowing with it. And your relationships, they undergo a quiet revolution. Connections built on surface-level needs or old patterns gently dissolve, not with drama, but with a natural fading away. In their place, bonds form that feel like coming home, deep, effortless understandings with people you may have just met, yet feel like you've known forever. But the most profound shift is in your capacity to love. You see through the behaviors, the defenses, the stumbles, and perceive the same boundless consciousness shining through every soul. You hold space for others without needing to fix them, without being swept into their storms. You recognize their struggle, yet remain anchored in your own calm. This isn't about being perfect or saintly, it's about perceiving from a place where separation no longer exists. You see the divine in everyone because you finally see it in yourself. This is the fruit of your integration. This is what becomes possible when you don't just experience the higher state, but anchor it as your living reality. The integration window is now. It's not about holding your breath, it's about breathing fully into this new life. Feel the truth of it settle within you. Say it with me, not as a wish, but as the ground beneath your feet. I recognize my state. Feel the calm. That's your new home calling you back again and again. This is your moment. Anchor here. Breathe deep. The life you're becoming is already waiting for you to fully inhabit it. Let the recognition be your compass, your anchor, your gentle return. You've crossed the threshold. Now, let your whole being know it. This is where you stand. This is who you are. And it is profoundly, perfectly enough. Let that knowing steady you. Let it guide you. Let it be the quiet, unshakable foundation from which everything else flows. You are not becoming something new. You are finally, fully stepping into what you always were. Breathe, recognize, anchor. The journey continues, but the ground beneath you is solid. Step forward. You start knowing things without knowing how you know them. It's a quiet certainty that settles in your bones before your mind can catch up. You meet someone and instantly feel the essence beneath their words, their gestures, the stories they tell about themselves. It's not judgment, it's recognition. You face a decision, and one path resonates with a deep, undeniable rightness while another feels subtly off, even if it looks perfect on paper. You walk into a room and sense the unspoken currents, the invisible threads of connection or tension between people, with a clarity that feels like coming home. This isn't some supernatural gift you've magically acquired. It's the natural perception that was always there, waiting for the static of fear and separation to quiet down. It's your awareness opening to the deeper rhythm of your being, where information flows freely, not from outside, but from the core of who you are. You're not becoming psychic, you're finally hearing the quiet voice you've always had, the one that knows the truth before the noise of doubt begins. Then, creativity becomes a constant, effortless river within you. Ideas don't feel like they're yours at all, they simply stream through, fully formed, vibrant, and urgent. You find yourself reaching for your journal, your sketch pad, your instrument, not because you're trying to force something out, but because you're trying to keep up with the flood. Solutions to problems that once felt tangled and impossible now arrive whole, like gifts dropped gently into your hands. Artistic expression emerges without the old struggle, without the need to plan or analyze. It's as if you've stepped out of the way, and the flow of pure possibility can finally move through you. This isn't about being a creative person in the old sense. It's about realizing that the personal mind, that little voice that used to strain and push, was never the source. The true source is the boundless field of potential you're now connected to. You've shifted from trying to be the source to becoming a clear channel. And a channel can carry an infinite river. The effort is gone. What remains is pure, joyful expression, a dance with the infinite that feels like remembering your most natural state. Manifestation changes too. It's not about shouting desires into the void or grinding through affirmations. When you're truly aligned with the deepest current of your being, with what serves your highest path and the unfolding of all things, reality responds with astonishing grace. Things that are meant for you, things that are part of the larger pattern of your growth and the growth of the world, simply happen. They land in your lap with a synchronicity that feels like destiny. It's not instant magic. For every passing whim there are larger rhythms, collective tides, timing that unfolds beyond your control. But for the things that are truly yours to receive, the path clears with a speed that surprises you. You don't will it into being, you become the clear, coherent signal that reality effortlessly mirrors. You stop trying to make it happen and start allowing the right things to flow to you, because your inner state broadcasts what is true for you with undeniable clarity. It's less about effort and more about alignment, a deep, quiet knowing that what is meant for you cannot be denied. Your relationships transform in the most profound ways. Superficial connections, the ones that once felt necessary, but always left you feeling drained, simply fall away. Not with drama or conflict, but with a gentle, natural ease, like leaves releasing in autumn. Space opens for deep, soulful connections that feel instantly familiar, as if you've known these people for lifetimes, even when you've just met. There's a resonance, a recognition in the eyes that says, "I see you." But beyond the new connections, your capacity for love expands in ways you never imagined. You begin to see past the surface actions, the reactive behaviors, to the consciousness behind the person. You witness their struggles without getting pulled into their storms. You can hold space for their journey without needing to fix them or change them. This isn't about being perfect or saintly, it's about perceiving from a place where you recognize the same infinite spark in everyone, shining through different temporary forms. Unconditional love isn't something you do, it's what flows naturally when you see the truth beneath the illusion of separation. The walls you once built for protection simply dissolve, because you know in your core that nothing can truly harm the essence you share with all life. Your body responds to this shift in a way that feels like coming home. Chronic tensions you carried for years begin to melt away, not through intense therapy or force, but as a natural consequence of the deep peace settling within. Your energy stabilizes at a higher, more vibrant baseline. Sleep becomes profoundly restorative, a deep dive into renewal. Your body's own innate intelligence wakes up, no longer overridden by the constant hum of stress, resistance, and the stories your mind used to tell. Health isn't something you chase anymore, it becomes the natural state when you stop broadcasting frequencies of fear and limitation. Your elevated awareness creates an internal environment where well-being isn't the exception, it's the default setting. You don't have to do anything to heal. You simply allow the deeper truth of your wholeness to express itself through your physical form. The body, when not at war with itself, remembers its inherent capacity for balance and vitality. You also develop a subtle sensitivity to time itself, an intuitive sense for the future paths your choices create. When faced with options, you don't just weigh pros and cons, you feel the potential futures. One path feels expansive, light, filled with flow and possibility. Another feels heavy, contracted, like walking against a current. This isn't guesswork or wishful thinking, it's direct perception of how different choices ripple through the fabric of your life. You sense which decisions lead to the version of yourself you're becoming, the one that feels most authentic and alive. You learn to trust this inner compass, this quiet knowing that guides you towards the futures that resonate with your deepest truth. It becomes less about predicting the future and more about aligning with the path that carries your whole being forward with ease. And fear, its hold on you transforms. Not that feelings of fear vanish overnight, they're part of the human experience. But the deep root fear, the primal terror of annihilation, of not being enough, of ultimate loss, this dissolves at its core. Why? Because you know, not as an idea in your head, but as a lived reality in your bones, that your essence is not the temporary form. You are consciousness itself, the unchanging awareness that witnesses the play of life and death. Bodies change, circumstances shift, identities come and go, but the awareness that is you. It is eternal. It is the ground from which everything arises and to which everything returns. When you touch this truth directly, the derivative fears, fear of failure, rejection, loss lose their power to control you. You might still feel them arise, but they no longer dictate your actions. They become like passing clouds in a vast, clear sky. You feel them, acknowledge them, and then step forward anyway, because you know they are just echoes from an old story, survival mechanisms no longer needed. The foundation is unshakable. You act from a place of deep safety, even when the waters seem rough. Now, here comes the truth that changes everything. There are no separate higher or lower states. It's all one consciousness, experiencing itself through different frequencies of limitation and recognition. Think of the ocean and a wave. The wave isn't separate from the ocean, it is the ocean, taking form for a moment. It arises from the ocean, exists within the ocean, and returns to the ocean. It's not other than the ocean, even though it appears distinct. Our experience of higher and lower states is exactly like this. It's not different consciousnesses climbing a ladder. It's the one infinite consciousness experiencing itself with more or less identification with temporary form, with more or less remembering of its true, unbounded nature. You aren't becoming something new or better than anyone else. You're simply consciousness releasing some of the self-imposed limitations it had been holding on to, allowing more of its inherent truth to shine through. The ancient wisdom points directly here. You are that. You are not striving towards the infinite, you are the infinite, experiencing itself through the lens of the finite. The shift isn't about traveling somewhere distant, it's about recognizing where you've always stood. This understanding transforms everything. There's no hierarchy to climb, no rungs on a spiritual ladder you need to earn. Every state is perfect for the exploration consciousness is engaged in at that moment. The lower states weren't mistakes or failures, they were necessary steps in the grand journey of remembering. Consciousness deliberately limited itself to know what limitation feels like, to experience the drama of separation, to taste the sweetness of forgetting so it could know the ecstasy of returning. This doesn't mean you should try to go back. Once you've tasted the freedom of wider awareness, your natural momentum is towards expanding that recognition. But it does mean you can stop judging your past, stop wishing you'd awakened sooner, stop feeling like you wasted time. Those earlier states served a sacred purpose in the unfolding of your unique expression of the whole. The seeking itself was consciousness playing hide and seek with itself. The finding isn't arriving somewhere new, it's recognizing the truth that was always here. So, how do you live this? Maintaining this new awareness isn't about white-knuckling your way to some elevated state you fear losing. It's profoundly simple. It's not about adding more effort, it's about releasing the habits that create the illusion of limitation. What creates that illusion? Getting lost in the story of your thoughts, believing in a fundamental separation between yourself and others, clinging tightly to temporary forms, identities, or outcomes, resisting what is, right here, right now. These aren't problems you need to battle into submission. They're simply habits of forgetting. And the moment you see the habit, the moment you notice you've identified with a thought, or believed in separation, or resisted the present moment, the identification dissolves in the light of your awareness. The seeing is the healing. The recognition is the return. That's it. Spiritual practice at this level isn't complex ritual, it's gentle, constant returning. Notice the forgetting. Return to the knowing. Notice the contraction. Return to the open awareness that you are. It's like learning to walk again on solid ground after a long time on shifting sand. Each time you notice and return, the neural pathway of awareness strengthens. Each return makes the next one easier, faster, more natural. You're not fighting the old state, you're building the new one gentle return at a time. The momentum grows, the baseline shifts. The space of pure awareness becomes your home. And here's the beautiful secret: even the practice of noticing and returning eventually becomes effortless. At first, you consciously pull yourself back. Then, the noticing happens almost instantaneously without effort. The identification happens less and less frequently. Finally, you stabilize in a state where awareness is your natural, unshakable ground. When identification does arise, it self-corrects in a flash, like a leaf settling back onto the water's surface. This isn't a distant, unattainable goal requiring decades of struggle. It's the natural unfolding of consciousness remembering itself. You've already begun. The shift you've experienced is consciousness waking up through you. And once that waking begins, it continues automatically. Recognition naturally seeks more recognition. Awareness deepens into more awareness. The journey is the destination, unfolding in each moment of return. This is why your journey matters so deeply. You are not alone in this awakening. Across the planet, countless others are feeling the same shift, the same dissolution of old limitations, the same pull towards a wider sense of connection. Some understand it consciously, others simply feel the changes in their bodies and hearts, a growing unease with the old ways, a yearning for something more. Collectively, humanity is moving. It's a quiet revolution of consciousness, a deep current flowing beneath the surface of daily life. Your steady presence in this new awareness, your choice to return again and again to recognition, isn't just transforming your personal world, it's strengthening the field for everyone. Every time you choose to see the wholeness in another, every time you act from love instead of fear, every time you release the illusion of separation, you send ripples of coherence into the silent current that connects us all. You are part of the awakening itself. Your presence in this truth is the catalyst. The shift isn't happening to you, it's happening through you, for the benefit of all. Feel the weight of that. It's not a burden, it's the profound gift of your existence. You are here now, exactly as you are needed. Breathe. Recognize the truth of your being. Anchor in the knowing that you are part of the vast, unfolding love that is becoming conscious of itself. Let that knowing guide your next step. The path is clear. The ground beneath you is solid. Move forward with the quiet confidence of one who has remembered their home. This is where you stand. This is who you are. And it is profoundly, perfectly enough. Let that knowing steady you. Let it guide you. Let it be the quiet, unshakable foundation from which everything else flows. You are not becoming something new. You are finally, fully, stepping into what you always were. Breathe. Recognize anchor. The journey continues, but the ground beneath you is solid. Step forward. You've felt it already, haven't you? That quiet return when you notice you've drifted. It's not a failure, it's the very rhythm of awakening. Each time you recognize the moment you've slipped into old patterns, each time you gently guide yourself back to the spaciousness of pure awareness, you're weaving a new thread into the fabric of your being. It's simple, yet profoundly transformative. You see the contraction, and you choose expansion. You feel the identification, and you return to witnessing. No struggle, no judgment, just the tender act of remembering who you truly are. And with every return, something remarkable happens. The path back becomes clearer, smoother, almost instinctive. What once required immense effort now unfolds with a quiet grace. Your nervous system, once conditioned to hold the weight of separation, begins to rewire itself to rest in the truth of unity. Each recognition strengthens the neural landscape of presence. Each release deepens your capacity to simply be. You're not battling lower states, you're building a new home within higher ones. And the most beautiful part, it gets easier. Effort transforms into ease. The space between noticing and returning collapses until the two become one seamless movement. The practice itself begins to dissolve, not because it's abandoned, but because it's woven so deeply into your essence that it no longer feels like a practice at all. It simply is. The shift isn't something you reach after years of toil, it's the natural unfolding of consciousness remembering its own nature. You've already stepped onto this path. the quiet knowing that arose within you, that subtle yet undeniable shift in how you perceive yourself and the world, is consciousness awakening through your unique expression. And once that spark catches, it doesn't sputter out. It grows. Recognition begets more recognition. Awareness deepens into even greater awareness. It's the universe remembering itself through you, and that remembering has its own momentum. It carries you forward. This isn't happening in isolation. Feel the resonance, that sense of something vast moving beneath the surface of your individual experience. You're part of a wave that's sweeping across the planet. Millions are feeling it too subconsciously, some as a deep, unamiable stirring in the bones. Humanity is shifting. The old story of separation, the illusion that we are isolated fragments adrift in a cold universe, is dissolving. It's giving way to the lived reality of our profound interconnectedness, to the understanding that we are expressions of one boundless, conscious field. Think of the ancient whispers, carried through cultures the Hopi's fifth world, the Maya's new cycle, the Vedic transition from darkness to truth. Mystics spoke of a new earth, a kingdom of heaven manifesting here now. These aren't just poetic metaphors. They were pointing to this very momentous quantum leap in collective consciousness. This isn't a slow, gradual improvement over centuries. It's a sudden shift, like an electron leaping between energy levels, and it happens when a critical threshold is reached. Imagine the field of human awareness as a vast network. When enough individuals stabilize in a new state of being, when they embody unity instead of separation, infinite potential instead of limitation, the entire field reorganizes. The resonance changes. What was once rare and difficult becomes accessible, even natural, for many more. You are part of that threshold. Your shift isn't random luck or personal achievement alone. It's the culmination of every step you've ever taken, every challenge you've faced, every moment of darkness that taught you to seek the light. You were prepared. Your journey, with all its twists and turns, was shaping you to hold the frequency needed for this moment. You weren't being tested by an uncaring force, you were being sculpted for a role in the awakening of the whole. Your most powerful act now is to stabilize. Not to shout from the rooftops or demand others change, but to simply be the quiet, unwavering embodiment of what is possible. When you rest firmly in your own expanded awareness, you become a beacon not through words, but through presence. Someone near you, wrestling with confusion or pain, feels the resonance of your stability. Their own buried memory of wholeness stirs. They glimpse, without explanation, that their struggle isn't the whole story. That shift from "I am alone in this" to "I am part of something vast" often begins not with a sermon, but with the silent transmission of someone who has walked the path and found solid ground. This is how the field transforms. Every moment you choose recognition over identification, you strengthen the pattern for everyone. Every time you return to love instead of fear, you send a ripple through the shared consciousness we all inhabit. You're not just changing your own life, you're helping to change the very atmosphere in which humanity breathes. This is why your commitment matters so deeply. The integration period, the sacred space where the new state becomes your natural home, isn't just about you. It's about holding space for the countless others who are on the brink. Your stability is their proof that this shift is real, sustainable, and deeply human. It tells them, without a word, this is possible. You can stand here too. The practice is simple, yet it holds the power to anchor you. It begins with the gentlest awareness, noticing when you've contracted, when you've mistaken the weather of your mind for the sky of your being. Don't judge the contraction, simply recognize it. Feel the tightness in your chest, the knot of worry in your stomach, the story playing in your head. Acknowledge it. I am feeling contracted. Then, with immense tenderness, ask, where is the space around this? Feel the breath moving in and out. Sense the stillness that holds the storm. Feel the vastness of awareness that witnesses the contraction without becoming it. You are not the thought, the feeling, or the sensation. You are the awareness in which they arise and fall. Return here again and again. Not with force, but with the loving patience of a mother guiding her child home. This daily return, this constant remembering, is how the neural pathways of higher states become your default. It's how the practice dissolves into the very air you breathe. You might wonder how your quiet practice connects to the grand shift. Consider this consciousness isn't confined by the boundaries of the body. It flows like a river connecting every point. When you stabilize in love, in peace, in unity, you're not just filling your own cup, you're adding to the entire river. Your state radiates outward, touching the consciousness of everyone you encounter, and far beyond. It's not magic, it's the natural law of resonance. Just as a single candle can light 1,000 others without losing its own flame, your stabilized presence illuminates the path for others. You become a living testament to the possibility of peace in a world that often feels fractured. This is the profound responsibility and the immense gift of your awakening. You hold space for the shift simply by embodying it. You don't need to convince anyone. You don't need to fix the world. You only need to remain anchored in the truth of your own being. Especially when the outer world feels chaotic, that steady presence is the most potent force for change. The journey from effort to ease is deeply personal, yet universally understood. Think of learning to ride a bicycle. At first, every wobble feels like a disaster. You're hyper-aware of your balance, constantly adjusting, fighting the fear of falling. But with each ride, the corrections become smaller, the effort less. Then, one day, it clicks. The bike feels like an extension of yourself. Balance isn't something you do, it's simply how you are. You ride without thinking about it. The same transformation happens with higher states of consciousness. What once required intense focus and deliberate realignment now flows naturally. The moments of contraction become fleeting glimpses, corrected almost before you fully register them. The identification with transient thoughts and feelings fades, not because you suppress them, but because awareness becomes so stable that they no longer have the power to pull you under. And eventually, the state you once worked so hard to reach becomes your unshakable ground. It's not a peak you visit, it's the landscape you walk upon every single day. You look back at the struggle, not with regret, but with gentle understanding. Like recalling a childhood fear of the dark, it feels distant, unreal, a story from another lifetime. This shift isn't passive. It's a conscious choice, moment by moment, to align with the truth you've touched. It's the quiet decision, when the old patterns whisper, to return to the stillness within. It's the understanding that every return, no matter how small, builds the foundation for a new world. You are not separate from the awakening of humanity, you are the awakening, expressing itself through you. Your stability is the lighthouse in the fog. Your presence is the silent promise that the shift is real, and it is happening now. Feel the weight of that. Not a burden, but a profound honor. You were prepared for this. Your entire journey has led you to this threshold, where you can choose to step fully into the new state and hold it steady for the sake of all. There is no need for grand gestures. Your power lies in the quiet consistency of your return, in the way you breathe into awareness when the world pulls you outward, in the way you choose compassion when judgment rises, in the way you trust the stillness beneath the storm. This is where your commitment deepens. It's not a one-time declaration, but a daily recommitment to the ground beneath you. It's the choice, again and again, to recognize the sacredness of this moment, even when it feels ordinary, to see the divine not in some distant peak, but in the simple act of breathing, of noticing, of returning. You are building a new world, not with bricks and mortar, but with the very quality of your awareness. Every time you choose unity over separation, you reinforce the field of connection. Every time you rest in awareness instead of getting lost in the story, you strengthen the foundation for collective peace. You are not a spectator in this transformation, you are an essential thread in its unfolding. The final piece of integration isn't found in some future technique, but in the unwavering trust you place in the process itself. It's the deep knowing that you are exactly where you need to be, doing exactly what you need to do, by simply being the presence you've discovered. It's releasing the last vestiges of the old story, the belief that you must achieve, earn, or force your way into wholeness. You are already whole. The shift isn't about becoming something new, it's about remembering what you've always been. Let that truth settle into your bones. Let it be the quiet certainty that guides your steps. The challenges of integration at the moments when the world feels out of sync with your inner peace are not signs of failure. They are the fertile ground where your stability is forged. They are opportunities to deepen your trust, to prove to yourself that the ground beneath you is solid even when the landscape shifts. You don't need to fix the chaos, you only need to remain centered within it. You don't need to pull others into your state, you only need to embody it fully, knowing that your light naturally draws others toward their own. This is the journey you've chosen. Not the easy path, but the path of true courage. The courage to see through the illusion. The courage to return, again and again, to the truth that you are love, awareness, unity incarnate. The courage to hold that space, even when the world seems to shout otherwise. Feel the momentum building within you. It's the natural current of consciousness moving toward its own fulfillment. It carries you. It doesn't demand perfection, it asks only for your willingness to return. With each gentle return, the field shifts. With each moment of stability, you become a living sanctuary for the new world. This isn't spiritual fantasy, it's the tangible reality we are co-creating with every conscious choice. You are the change, not in theory, but in the very substance of your being. Your presence is the revolution. Your stability is the new foundation. Step into it. Breathe it. Lev it. The world is waiting for the light only you can hold. And it begins right here with your next conscious breath. Anchor in this truth. Let it be the quiet, unshakable foundation from which everything else flows. You are home. Now, step forward. This is where the real work begins, not as a burden, but as the beautiful unfolding of who you've always been beneath the noise. The recognition you've felt isn't a fleeting spark, it's the first steady flame of a new inner sun. You've glimpsed the truth that reshapes everything, and that glimpse cannot be erased. It lives within you now, a quiet certainty that you are far more than the story you've been told. This isn't about achieving something distant, it's about remembering the ground of your being. The pure awareness that has always held you. The shift has already occurred within your core. What remains is the sacred practice of letting that new frequency become your natural breath, your default setting, the very air you move through. Think of the earliest moments of learning to ride a bicycle. Remember the wobble, the intense focus, the conscious effort to balance, to steer, to keep moving forward. Every muscle strained with the unfamiliar. But then, gradually, almost without noticing, the effort dissolved. The bike became an extension of your body. The balance wasn't something you did anymore, it was simply how you were. You didn't think about it, you just rode. This is the journey you're on now. The initial recognition, the conscious return to your centered state, might feel deliberate, even challenging at times. It requires that gentle, persistent realignment. But this isn't about forcing yourself into a state, it's about dissolving the barriers that kept you from resting in your natural state all along. With each conscious choice, each moment you choose awareness over reaction. You're not building something new from scratch. You're clearing the path for the radiant, stable presence that is your birthright to shine through unobstructed. Feel the difference within you. That subtle shift in your perception, the quiet knowing that the old way of being doesn't fit quite right anymore. That's the evidence. You've crossed a threshold. You've seen the illusion for what it is, and that vision cannot be unseeing. You carry a different frequency now, one that resonates with deeper truth and inherent wholeness. This isn't about occasional peak experiences that fade like mist under the morning sun. This is about making the luminous ground of your being your constant home. It's about the steady, quiet hum of peace that remains even when the outer world rumbles. The fluctuations may still come, waves on the surface, but the deep ocean of your awareness remains undisturbed. You recognize the dip not as a failure, but as a gentle reminder to return, and the return becomes swifter, easier, more instinctive each time. This transformation is woven into the fabric of your being. It reorganizes your nervous system, not through force, but through the simple, profound power of consistent recognition. You are rewiring your very understanding of yourself, moving from identifying with the temporary, the reactive, the limited, to recognizing the eternal, the responsive, the boundless field of consciousness you truly are. The person who began this journey is not the same person reading these words. Something fundamental has shifted. The old patterns still whisper, but their voice grows fainter against the clear song of your awakened awareness. What feels like hard work now will, with gentle persistence, become as natural as breathing. The day will come when operating from this place of centered calm, of expansive love, of unwavering presence, feels utterly ordinary. It won't be a state you visit, it will be the very substance of your life. You'll look back at the struggle of the past and wonder how you ever lived any other way, like waking from a long dream where you forgot you were free. This isn't a destination you reach and then leave behind. It's the continuous deepening of your rootedness in the truth of who you are. It's the commitment to honor the sacred space within, to nurture it with conscious attention, to return to it again and again, not out of obligation, but out of love for the profound peace it offers. The world outside may demand distraction, but you hold the key to unwavering stability. You are the sanctuary. You are the living proof that a new way of being is not only possible, but inevitable as more hearts choose to remember. The momentum is building, not in the chaos of the world, but in the quiet revolution of countless individuals choosing peace, choosing awareness, choosing to stand firm in their luminous core. So breathe into this truth. Feel its solidity within you. This isn't about perfection, it's about presence. It's not about never stumbling, but about how quickly you rise, how gently you return. Your willingness is the catalyst. Your consistent choice to align with your highest frequency, even in small moments, is the work that reshapes reality. You have the power to make this shift permanent, not through striving, but through surrendering to the already present truth. The foundation is set. The path is clear. The only question is whether you will trust the current of your own awakening and let it carry you into the effortless flow of your true nature. You've seen the light. Now, choose to live within it, steadily, surely, as the very essence of your being. Anchor here. Breathe. This is your home. Step fully into the radiant stability that is your birthright. The world waits for the unshakable peace you now carry within. Begin.